All right, joining me now to talk more about the new Apple Watch and the future of Apple is Max Wolff. He's the Chief Economist at Manhattan Venture Partners. Max, great to have you back on the show.
Always my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Tim Cook calling this the most personal device to come out of Apple. Okay, so great. You can monitor your heartbeat. You can send your heartbeat to somebody else that has an Apple Watch. You can put a Mickey Mouse on the interface. Big deal. What's the wow factor here? Is this a game changer?
So it's a great point. Look, everything at every Apple event is superlative. It's the greatest keyboard, the greatest computer, the thinnest, the lightest, the best. And basically, if you don't have it, you're some sort of really retrograde person whose closest friends and intimates will barely tolerate you for one more second, right? And that is the marketing miracle that is Apple. All that aside, the future of this watch is really about things we didn't learn a ton about today. That is how creative other third parties will be in the apps that they produce, which will be the only reason to have this thing, and two other big ones, which we don't really know enough, but we're beginning to learn about, which is how long does this battery last? Because having a really snazzy $1,000...
18 hours is what they're claiming.
If you don't use it, right? So 18 hours if you don't really use it,
well, then
right?
What's the point if you're not using it?
So the question is, how long does it work if you're doing things like, hey, anything you'd ever want to do that would make you pay $500 or $600 for a watch? We don't know. And how water resistant is it? So we know not completely, but not zero. But the other problem is, hey, if I wash my hands too vigorously, do I have a fried paperweight around my hand that costs me $1,000?
So we didn't get these answered. When will the buying public know if they can actually wash their hands whilst wearing this watch?
So to be fair, the company did release, not in the excitement with this sort of dry ice and smoke machine that they usually use, but quietly and separately, some spec on this stuff, some specs. But the truth is we don't know until the field test begins. And the real field test starts after 24 April when millions of people buy this thing, or at least hundreds of thousands, strap it to their wrist and see exactly how long it lasts and how much water it can take.
We may have another Bendgate on our hands.
We could. I mean, I think if we do, hopefully Apple has to hope that it goes as well as Bendgate. I think it's an exciting product in terms of its future potential. For right now, it's a marketing success, and it's another reason for people to buy the phone that is the bread and butter for this company.
Is there anything about this watch that we know so far that is different, significantly so, from the competition?
Yes. Which is it's on iOS. iOS is going to push it out. It has Apple marketing muscle behind it. It has unbelievable hundreds of millions of dollars worth of free advertising today, if not billions. Right. It has a hype factor that's huge. And it's going to seamlessly sync with the most successful high-end smartphone on Earth.
And here's the question. Do I still need to have a smartphone? Can this watch function independently? At what point am I tethered down between my watch and now my phone and then my headgear?
Sure. Well, the good news is you never have to have a meaningful interpersonal interaction ever again. And you can have the kind of social life that comes along with that rich gadgetry. But all jokes notwithstanding, not only do you have to have a smartphone, it has to be on you, it has to be on, and it has to be a brand new Apple.
So the watch doesn't function without the phone?
It does a few things.
What can it do without the phone?
Without the phone, it can be really cool. It can inspire jealousy, and it can probably do a few...
Other than the social elements, what can I do with this watch minus the phone?
But Apple has shown us, to the tune of being the largest company in the world by market cap, that those social and esteem elements are non-trivial.
And do you think we're going to have people lining up to buy the watch like we typically do with the phone, with the lines stretching around blocks?
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have a little bit of that. That's not really, that's more of a news story than it is meaningful. The truth is, for the foreseeable future, the Apple Watch does a few things. It proves Apple can still innovate. It's an exciting new story getting you hundreds of millions of dollars worth of publicity. And first and foremost, for now, it's another reason to buy phones and keep Apple the big, rich, powerful, successful company it is.
Well, it shows that Apple can innovate post Steve Jobs, which is a valid point to make. But investors really weren't that excited about it. The stock pretty much flat for the day. Does this mean that investors don't think this device is going to boost sales significantly? Why did we not see any movement in the stock?
Well, I think we saw an enormous amount of fanfare, and we saw Apple say, look, the world is watching this watch event, which they've been waiting for years. Let's use this opportunity to literally sell everything. Right? So they talked about the computer, they talked about the Retina display, they talked about the cutting of the price of Apple TV, they talked about the deal with HBO to reduce and give streaming rights. In other words, there were so many stories with the same, superlative, world-changing language that I think the Apple Watch got a little bit lost in all the Apple hype. But I do think it's important. And look, the shares are trading at a super premium, high multiple valuation, and they didn't sell off, which is how we know the market.
But they're pretty much flat, closed up 0.4%.
They were flat. Absolutely.
However, they are up 15% year to date, up about 68% year over year. And one thing that is not lost in all of this is the tremendous amount of cash that Apple is sitting on, about $180 billion. That is a sizable hoard. Apple is talking about Apple Car. That's the next buzzword. What is Apple going to do with this cash? Any truth to the speculation that it could be purchasing Tesla?
So I think we know that Apple is going to try to make sure not to pay taxes on the cash, which is the reason they have so much offshore cash anyway. They also have built up a good amount of debt, because what they've been doing here is issuing debt in the US because of extremely low interest rates, so that they also don't have to repatriate that cash and pay taxes on it. So they're going to have to figure out what their policy is there. In terms of the Apple Car, I don't see it. So I don't see them producing a car because it's a brutally difficult market with low margins and enormous upfront costs. And part of the reason Apple's such a darling, deservedly so in the stock market, is a 40% margin. Nobody has a 40% margin in cars. They need to be in the car because the smartphones, the only time they don't monitor you right now is when you're driving, because it's illegal or you'll kill yourself. And so they all want to be in there and take away those few minutes you might have to waste time on things other than essential social media updates.
Well, time is of the essence, and unfortunately, we have run out of it. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure. Max Wolff, Chief Economist at Manhattan Venture Partners.